Welcome back. So when I was on a dating site, I noticed that there were a lot of single mothers who had profiles up that were looking for someone to date. So that raised the question, are there too many single mothers in the Philippines? Let's dig into this. Okay, so I had this one profile that kept coming up, and she was a single mother, and I was not looking to raise somebody else's child, but her profile was so compelling. The things that she had to say in her profile that just really struck me. And then it dawned on me. Okay, so I was raised by a single mother until I had my stepfather, and he gave my sister and I all of the care and loving and provided for us as if we were his blood children. So I thought, I can do that too. So let's get into why there are so many single parents, and I'm going to put both. Majority are single mothers. So why are there so many? Some of the causes might be limited reproductive education in the schools. And again, as I've said before, with the government being based in a certain religious ideology, they probably don't want to get into the subject with these kids in school. So the kids in school, they get to a point where hormones are taking over, and they try some reproductive acts, and yeah, babies are born. Not all, in some cases. Uh, this goes along with low contraceptive uh, rate and the availability for contraceptives. And again, back to the religious views of the government and local municipalities and things like that. Now, contraception is available at clinics, but generally only in the major metropolitan areas, Manila, Cebu, those places like that. In the provinces, they're probably a little more conservative with their views back to the ideology of the Christianity again, and they're probably not making it available. And even in the cases in the major metropolitan areas where it is available, the government and the local municipalities don't make that common knowledge. So contraception isn't used as widely as in other parts of the world. So high unemployment rate. Okay, these people, they're competing every day for jobs. I think I mentioned in a previous video that it's not uncommon to see someone with a college degree working at McDonald's. Again, jobs are very competitive there. So if people are not employed, they got time to do other things. And there you go. Um, in a lot of cases. Okay, so because the government is so steeped in the traditional religious theology, abortion's not legal. So, in the chance that someone finds himself with a child, number one, they can keep the child. Number two, they can keep the child and then put it up for adoption. Abortion's not legal. You know, regardless of what my personal views are on that subject and what everybody else's is, it's a fact that it's not legal, so that's out of the question. Also, divorce is uh, not legal in the Philippines, so a lot of people choose to have those children, and they don't get married because they are would be marrying somebody they would never be able to divorce. Bad choices. So that's a good part of this situation. There's many problems with with being a single parent. Obviously, poverty. Um, the women statistically don't make nearly as much as what the men make. And that's if the women are fortunate enough to find work. Remember, I said that jobs in the Philippines are very competitive. So a lot of single mothers, they choose to work abroad, and their children are left home with family, and the working mothers, working fathers, they send their money home to the family to raise the kids. There are also married people that work abroad like this. It's a way to have a job, way to make a little bit more than $5 a day, $8 a day, whatever. Wages are very low for the most part in the Philippines, unless you are just very fortunate to be CEO of a company or whatever. So a lot of the single mothers and single fathers, they work abroad. They leave their children at home. They send their earnings home to their families that are raising the kids. It's happened. My late wife, she worked abroad, and she sent her money home. And so I'm very aware of this situation. And several of the women that I met on the dating site, they worked abroad, and yeah, that's how they supported their families. So even these single mothers who work domestically, they still have to leave their children at home with their family members because childcare centers, they're just not common, and they're very expensive. So there's that too, and this leads into a whole bunch of other problems. For the single mothers that work domestically, they may not have family to leave their children with. Therefore, their children are left at home unattended, and that leads to other potential problems, obviously, because unattended kids, assuming they're school age kids, they're probably not going to complete their school studies because the mother is out working, and nobody's at home to make sure that the kids get their schoolwork done. And this could lead to underperformance in schools and possible dropouts because the kids just lose interest because they're not doing well, because they're not being supervised at home. I mean, these are all just possibilities. I'm not saying that all are in this, but some. And so dropouts will lead to less than desirable adulthood, more poverty, more single parenting. I mean, alcohol and drug abuse start to become prevalent in those situations. I've seen it happen here in the United States. So, yeah, it could happen there too. I mean, humans are humans everywhere they go. So this could become generational, a cycle of single parenting, kids left unattended, uh, having more kids who the mother has to work to support the kids. The kids are left unattended. Okay, you see where this is going. So another aspect of children of single mothers is the kids feel abandoned because of no father in their lives. And when they reach adulthoods, they don't have a balance between male, female, and a father that interacts with them. But there are successful single mothers. I'm not going to just say that if you're a single mother, you're not going to perform or whatever. I look at my fiance. She's worked really hard to give her daughter as good of a living as possible, and she's very fortunate to have her family that helps out. And I'm very grateful for her family. They're an awesome group. and some of her uncle, some of my future stepdaughter's uncles, my future brothers-in-law, they have stepped up and they've tried to give uh, the male perspective of life, and they've tried to be somewhat of a father figure. Now, I have my job cut out for me when we get married, and I live together. We live together. I've got a lot of catching up to do to be the father. So we are paving that way now, establishing that relationship, so it won't be so much of a drastic change in her life. So fortunately, there's a relative minority of families in the Philippines that are single parent families. I will go over this in the next video and show what percentages are in the Philippines and what percentages are in the United States and Canada. It might surprise you, the statistics on this. It surprised me. I just assumed that there were a lot of single mothers in the Philippines. Maybe it's a good thing that there is that Christian ideology or theology, whatever you want to call it, that everything is based in. So there's probably a higher morality rate in the Philippines than what there are in the United States. I know that part of the reason I'm leaving the United States is the morality rate is atrocious. As I said, my fiance, soon to be my wife, yes, we're getting down there. We're under 2 months now before we're married. As of today, I'm looking at 37 days, and I will be there. If anybody was counting, right? So she's been very fortunate to have her family involved in her daughter's lives that have brought some balance to them and have helped my fiance with her pursuit of her job. Now, she's very fortunate. She currently works at home, so she's there every day to take care of her daughter, but that doesn't fill the void of not having a father, and that's where I come in. So try to give a little bit more balance in her life and take some of the pressure off of my wife when this all comes about. You know, I'd really like to have some comments from you guys. What do you think? Are there too many single mothers? What are your opinions of the single mothers? I know several expats that have YouTube channels, and they've married single mothers, and they're doing great. They are like me. They have decided they can give that child that father figurehood and step up to the plate. And if you're going to date or eventually marry a single mother, you need to have that mentality. You need to have that toughness. You need to have that commitment to raise that child. Because remember, there's no divorce in the Philippines. And you get married, it's for life. And I hope you'll all take that into consideration. So leave me some comments. Let's have a discussion about this. I don't know it all. I'm not there yet. Soon, and that'll be just for a brief time. Unfortunately, I will not be moving there permanently until June of next year. So I hope all of you had a happy Thanksgiving. Do me a favor, please. Hit that like and subscribe buttons. I could really use that. And the next video I do will be a continuance of this subject. I hope I didn't bore you. I love you all. Have a great one.